We're grateful for each and every one of you. Let us know where in the world you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let's begin. The laughter in the crowded bar that night should have drowned everything out, but I caught it. Her voice. Samantha wasn't laughing with me. She was tucked in the corner booth with her co-workers, leaning a little too close to a man I'd never met. His name rolled from her lips like it belonged there. Victor. The way she touched his arm, the way his hand brushed hers, it wasn't innocent. My fiancée didn't even try to hide it. I walked over, calm but sharp. Sam, I said, my voice steady. Her shoulders stiffened, but she didn't flinch. She just looked up at me with those cool, unreadable eyes I used to mistake for mystery. Marcus, she replied casually, as if I'd interrupted nothing. This is Victor. Victor extended his hand, smug smile plastered across his face. I didn't take it. Instead, I looked at her and asked, "This what you want now?" Her lips curled in a smirk I'll never forget. Maybe I need freedom. Maybe we should try something less traditional. The words hit harder than a slap, but I didn't show it. She expected a scene. She expected me to lose control in front of everyone. But I wouldn't give her that satisfaction. I leaned close enough so only she could hear me. You want freedom? You've got it. Her eyes widened slightly. For the first time that night, she looked unsure. The next morning, she brought it up again, trying to wrap her betrayal in logic. She spoke of rules, of respect, of space. She scribbled terms like it was a contract. No lies. No secrets. Always safe. Honesty above all. I just nodded, memorizing every word. She thought she was in control, but in reality, she'd given me the perfect stage to destroy her illusions. That night, after she went to bed, I sent a single message. Hey Paige, coffee this week? No pressure. Sam and I agreed to something open. Paige, her longtime friend, replied instantly. She actually said yes. Sure, I'm in. One text wasn't enough. I scrolled further. Clara, one of Sam's closest colleagues. Dinner soon? Being upfront, Sam and I are open now. Clara's reply came slower, but it came. Didn't expect that. But yeah, dinner sounds good. By the time I slipped under the covers beside Samantha, her breathing was slow and steady. She had no idea that while she was dreaming of freedom with Victor, I was already building a revenge far darker and far more precise than anything she could imagine. Friday afternoon, I walked into a cafe downtown, sunlight spilling through the glass windows onto the polished wooden tables. Paige was already there, waving me over with that same mischievous smile I remembered from Samantha's college parties. She wasn't nervous. If anything, curiosity shone in her eyes. So, she said after I sat down, it's true. Sam actually asked for all this. Word for word, I replied calmly. She said our wedding depended on it. Paige stirred her coffee, lips pressed tight, as if she were holding back something. Finally, she leaned closer. Then I guess you should know, this wasn't about freedom. She's been talking about that guy from her office for months. Victor. Everyone knows it. I didn't let my face change, though inside, her words landed exactly where they were meant to. Paige continued, almost cautiously. She asked me once if I'd cover for her. Said she just needed a little time with him. Nothing serious, she claimed. But her eyes told a different story. Her honesty burned away the last trace of doubt. Samantha hadn't suggested this out of principle. She hadn't wanted fairness or balance. She wanted cover, permission to walk straight into Victor's arms without guilt. I gave Paige a slow nod, forcing a faint smile. Good to know. The rest of our conversation was lighter. Work, memories, meaningless chatter. But beneath it all, a storm was building inside me. She had no idea that with every word, she was feeding the fire that would eventually consume Samantha's careful game. That night, I came home to Samantha sitting on the couch, scrolling her phone. She looked up with a forced casualness. How was your day? Informative, I said smoothly. Coffee with Paige went well. Her head snapped up, eyes narrowing. You actually went. I told you I would. No lies, remember. Her lips parted, then shut. She hadn't expected me to follow through, let alone with someone she considered close. The next evening, it was Clara's turn. We met at a quiet Italian restaurant across town. The kind of place where soft violin music played in the background and candles flickered against the walls. Clara arrived dressed simply, her dark hair tied back, but her eyes were sharp, searching. So she really did it, Clara said after ordering. She painted you as some controlling man, like you were suffocating her. Said she needed space. Honestly, Marcus, it sounded more like she was rewriting history. I raised a brow. She made it sound like I was the problem. All the time. But at work, it's obvious. She's wrapped around Victor's finger. They don't even try to hide it anymore. Her words confirmed what Paige had already told me. Samantha's freedom wasn't about us. It was about him. By the time dinner ended, I had everything I needed. Samantha thought she was clever, that she'd engineered the perfect scenario to justify betrayal. But she never expected me to move first, to play by the very rules she created. When I came home, Samantha was waiting, arms crossed tight. So, she said coldly, "How was your date?" I hung my jacket, deliberately calm. Claire's good company, easy to talk to. Her eyes flared, a spark of fury she couldn't mask. "You're doing this to hurt me. Don't lie." "I'm doing exactly what you said we could do," I replied. "You wrote the rules, Sam. I'm just following them." She shot up from the couch, her voice trembling with anger. "That's not what I meant." "Then you should have been clearer," I said evenly. "You wanted permission, not partnership. The difference is, I don't use people as excuses. You do." Her face drained of color. "You don't know what you're talking about." "Victor," I said flatly. Her entire body froze. The name alone shattered her composure. "You think I don't see it?" I continued, stepping closer. "You don't need breathing room. You need him. You just wanted me to sign off, so you could fall into his arms without guilt." Her lips quivered, but no words came. For the first time, Samantha looked cornered. The silence between us was thick, broken only by her shaky breath. Finally, she whispered, "You're twisting this. It's not like that." "No," I said, my voice low but steady. "It's exactly like that. And now, Sam, you're going to watch me take every ounce of this arrangement and turn it into something you can't control. You want a freedom? I'll show you what freedom looks like." She trembled, caught between fury and fear, unable to respond. She thought this game belonged to her, but I'd already taken it from her hands. That night, as she locked herself in the bedroom, I stayed in the living room, scrolling through my contacts again. Not to line up more dates, no. That wasn't the revenge I wanted. Revenge, I realized, wasn't about matching her betrayal. It was about dismantling the very foundation she'd built her illusion of power on. And by the time I was finished, Samantha Carter wouldn't just lose me. She'd lose the image she'd so carefully crafted. The woman in control, the bride-to-be, the one holding all the cards. Because I wasn't the man she thought I was. I was the man she underestimated. And that mistake would cost her everything. Sunday afternoon, the air in our apartment felt heavy, as if the walls themselves carried the tension. Samantha avoided me all morning, pacing from the kitchen to the bedroom, muttering half-formed sentences to herself. When I finally asked her to sit down at the table, she hesitated, then reluctantly pulled out a chair. "Sam," I began, steady and deliberate, "we can't drag this on. Either we face what this is, or we walk away. No in between." Her eyes narrowed, defensive walls rising. "You're exaggerating. I just wanted space, breathing room before the wedding." I leaned forward, unflinching. "Breathing room for who?" "Victor." Her gaze faltered, the tiniest flicker of panic giving her away. "It wasn't supposed to go anywhere," she stammered. "It doesn't mean I don't love you. It doesn't mean I want to end us." I sat back, letting the silence stretch until it pressed down on her. "You gave me an ultimatum. You tied our marriage to your need for someone else. That wasn't about love. That was about you testing how much control you could keep." Her hands trembled against the table. "So what, Marcus? You're just going to throw away 5 years?" "No," I said evenly. "You did that the moment you tried to replace commitment with convenience. I'm simply refusing to play along." Her composure cracked. She slammed her palm down, rattling the silverware. "I didn't think you'd actually go through with it." "And that," I said quietly, "is the problem. You assumed I'd beg. You wanted the freedom without the consequences. But now you're living with them." Her eyes shimmered with a mixture of rage and regret, but she had no defense. For the first time, Samantha realized she wasn't the one holding the strings anymore. The following week, I set my plan in motion. Revenge wasn't going to be loud or violent. It was going to be precise, the kind of slow unraveling that left her exposed. I started with her image. Samantha loved control, loved looking like the flawless bride-to-be who had everything handled. So I made sure the truth trickled into the cracks of her carefully curated life. At brunch with her sister, I let details slip, subtle but sharp. Sam and I agreed to open things. Surprising, right? She seemed so excited about the idea. Her sister's fork paused midair, her face tightening. I didn't need to say more. Gossip would carry the rest. Next, I met with one of Samantha's closest colleagues, the kind who adored drama more than coffee. Clara mentioned Victor's been spending a lot of time with Sam at the office. I said casually. Guess that's her definition of freedom. The colleague's shocked expression was all I needed. By the end of the week, whispers about Samantha and Victor had spread across her workplace. The beauty of it, I never lied. I only repeated what she herself had set in motion. One evening, Samantha confronted me, her voice raw. Why are people looking at me differently at work? Why is my sister asking if the wedding's even happening? I leaned against the counter, calm as ever. Because they see the truth now. You wanted openness. Now it's open for everyone. Her hands clenched into fists. You're ruining me. No, Sam, I said softly, almost with pity. You ruined yourself. I'm just letting the world see it. Her fury cracked into desperation. Marcus, please, we can fix this. I'll end it with Victor. I'll stop everything. Just don't walk away. For a moment, I studied her, the woman I once thought I'd marry. But what stared back at me wasn't love. It was fear. Not of losing me, but of losing the image she'd built. I'm not angry, I said quietly. I'm finished. Her lips trembled. You can't mean that. I do, I replied. Because the difference between you and me is simple. You chased attention. I demanded respect. And without respect, there's nothing left to stand on. That night, I began making calls, canceling vendors, informing family, dividing costs. Each cancellation cost money, but with each one, I felt lighter, freer. The wedding that was supposed to bind us became a dismantled project, piece by piece, until nothing remained. Her family didn't take it quietly. Her sister sent scathing messages, calling me heartless. Her mother left long voicemails, begging for explanations. I ignored them. The only people who deserved the truth already knew it. Paige reached out, offering sympathy. Clara texted too. You did the right thing. She was never fair to you. Even Victor, the supposed prize she risked everything for, stayed silent. No apology. No defense. He abandoned her the moment things grew complicated. 1 week later, I met Samantha for the last time at our apartment. She stood by the doorway, arms folded, trying to wear the same confident mask she once had. But it was cracked, barely holding together. You destroyed everything, she said, her voice flat. I held her gaze, steady and unbroken. No, Sam. You destroyed it the moment you gambled our future for your own selfishness. All I did was walk away with my dignity intact. For once, she had no reply. Her silence was heavier than any scream. As I carried the last box to my car, I looked back only once. Not at the apartment, not at the life I was leaving, but at the lesson I would carry with me forever. Some betrayals don't need shouting matches or vengeance fueled by rage. Sometimes the coldest revenge is silence, clarity, and the strength to walk away while they crumble in the wreckage of their own choices. And that's exactly what Samantha was left with, wreckage. The apartment was quiet when I returned for the final time, just a few scattered boxes left to collect. Samantha was there, leaning against the wall with her arms folded, her eyes hollow, drained of the fire she used to carry. You're really leaving, she said flatly, not as a question, but as a defeated statement. Already left, Sam, I replied. This is just me picking up the rest. Her lips parted as though she wanted to argue, but she didn't. The fight in her was gone, replaced by something colder, regret that came too late. You could have forgiven me, she whispered, her voice trembling. We could have fixed it. I set the last box down by the door and turned to her. Forgiveness only works when someone admits they were wrong. You never did that. You wanted me to carry the blame while you carried on with Victor. That's not fixing anything. That's burying the truth. Her face flushed red, shame and anger colliding. I made one mistake. I cut her off, my voice sharp but steady. No, Sam. You made a choice. And choices have consequences. The difference between us is, I accepted mine. You're still pretending yours don't exist. Her eyes shimmered with tears she tried to hold back. For a brief moment, I almost saw the woman I had fallen in love with years ago. The woman who laughed at my dumb jokes, who dreamed of a house with a porch swing and summer barbecues. But that woman wasn't here anymore. She'd been replaced by someone who thought love was negotiable. I carried the box outside and placed it in the trunk. When I came back in, she was sitting on the floor, head buried in her hands. The silence was heavy, broken only by the sound of her quiet sobs. I stood by the doorway, watching her, feeling no joy in her collapse, but no sorrow either. Only clarity. "Sam," I said finally, my voice low but firm. She lifted her head, eyes red and pleading. "You had everything, my trust, my love, my loyalty. And you gambled it away for someone who didn't even stay when things fell apart. That's the cruelest part. Not that you hurt me, but that you hurt yourself, and for nothing." Her lips quivered. "So this is it. This is it," I confirmed. "I'm not walking away angry. I'm walking away free." Her tears spilled over, and for the first time since this began, I felt something, not pity, not anger, but finality. The chapter was closed. I picked up the last box, gave her one last look, and walked out the door. I didn't slam it, didn't shout, didn't linger. Just a quiet exit, leaving her in the silence she had created. Weeks passed. My days grew lighter without the constant weight of suspicion and betrayal. I went to the gym more often, reconnected with friends I'd neglected, even started playing guitar again, a hobby I'd abandoned during our engagement. Life returned, slowly, piece by piece, like sunlight breaking through heavy clouds. Samantha tried reaching out a few times, texts late at night, voicemails that started with anger and ended with sobbing apologies. I never replied, not out of cruelty, but because some doors, once closed, should never reopen. The irony was sharp. The open relationship she demanded ended with her completely alone. Victor was nowhere. Her friends distanced themselves. Her family, once her strongest defenders, began to see the truth she couldn't hide anymore. And me? I didn't need to parade victory. My revenge wasn't about making her suffer. It was about showing her that I couldn't be broken by the game she tried to play. The strongest revenge is dignity. The kind that leaves the betrayer haunted by their own reflection, realizing too late what they've lost. Months later, I passed her by chance at a cafe. She looked smaller, her confidence gone. Our eyes met briefly. She opened her mouth, as if to speak, but I simply nodded politely and walked away. That was the final piece of revenge. Not anger, not confrontation, but indifference. She was no longer a chapter in my story. She was a lesson. Because in the end, betrayal doesn't define you. It defines the one who chooses it. And Samantha Carter will live with that truth long after I've moved on.